I have to let the dog in. I let the dog in. So I have an informal question. How many of you like or dislike the word salve? S-A-L-V-E, salve.
I like it if it's pronounced or spoken a certain way.
It's true. I don't know. It's one of those words that I can't figure out if it's fun to say or weird to say. I almost always have to think about it because it's just such sort of an uncomfortable tongue pairing.
I guess, but I just go, salve.
No, sir, I don't like it. I don't know. It's fine. It is Friday, and you are a dog. Yes, you are. It's Friday. We don't have a billion questions. I think everybody's been off for the holidays, which is fun. I have another video I'm working on now. It's a restoration video for customers, so that should be cool. It's a 62177,000 world time. A special one with a custom case back, special case back. But anyway, let's look at our watches. Okay?
Okay.
She's wearing it. There it is, your peoples. Look, it's the answer.
The answer?
It is, in fact, the answer to the question.
What question?
If I was going to get your watch rebuilt in time for the next video.
Well, there it is.
There it is, folks. It's a 6139 60 70 40 70 20. Heck, I can't remember, but it's pretty. And my paint job on the hands I painted the hand, which was faded. That looks pretty good. I like the color.
I chose to keep the orange on the light side, not the reddish side. So you said it was like partially faded originally?
Yeah, no, when it came, it was faded to like that sort of yellowish tan. Mm-hmm. So this went closer to that color, but like it was slightly faded. That's an NOS minute counter hand. The one that was on there had been removed and put back a few times. It was kind of jacked up. I don't know. Oh, and I cleaned up the... Oh, no.
Show the...
Oh, yeah, the bracelet. I wish somebody modified the darn bracelet. They cut off the ends. This is a private purchase Maruman, and so it's beautifully made. Japan stainless steel.
Okay, you were going to say one more thing about the watch?
I cleaned up the lume on the dial and the hands, and it looks really good. Mm-hmm. It looks really good. I'm happy with it. Okay, my turn. Here, let's do... and for me, I am once again double wristing it. As somebody pointed out on the video of this, I had it listed incorrectly on that video. It's not a 70-20. It is, of course, a 70-60. So that one
Is it even in focus?
Maybe not. I'm not sure. Let's try that. Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay, so there it is. Well, that is a pretty watch, isn't it? And I did a really good job matching that hand paint, huh? Mm-hmm. That's a real good mix. The other one, I did, in fact, build this watch during my winter break. So that's... The dial had been stripped of its lume, and those markers had just been painted. So I actually lumed all of those. I tried to clean the hands, but the lume was just gross, and I couldn't match the color with, under luming it. So I just relumed them to match the dial. It's a beautiful watch. I'm glad I did that. We had a lot of fun. So just to clarify, this gentleman has been talking to us about watches, but right now we're talking about his deep, abiding love for vintage vehicles made by GM in the 40s and 50s and 60s. So he's the guy that had...
I know.
Right. Turns out that wasn't a 68 Camaro, it was a 69. But he did get it out of that barn.
Am I reading it? Or
well, I just want to give context,
Well, okay, thanks for taking the time to read my questions. I will email pictures and what I have found during my research.
She's holding his hand right now.
Yeah, I am. The dog, not the commenter. As for the pictures on my profile, That is a 1969 Camaro SS I was able to purchase a few months ago. I drug it out from under that fallen shed where it has sat since 1988. I tried to purchase that car since I was 13 years old. I am 38 now. It's in terrible shape, but I will rebuild it. I have a handful of other cars ahead of it. There are a couple of short videos of me dragging it out of that shed on my YouTube page. I've been saving 60s to 90s GM vehicles. Where'd you get 40s from?
I don't know. Well, because I told him a story about one of my favorite junkyards. I did it in the comments.
Oh, okay.
And in that junkyard, it had a lot of stuff from the 30s and the 40s.
Okay. My father-in-law has a farm with lots of acreage, so years ago I moved them there. Between us both, we probably got 200 to 300 old cars and trucks. I saved mostly GM stuff, Chevelles, Novas, GTOs, all generations of Firebirds and Camaro, Chevy trucks of all years, etc. I may not have saved them from the crusher forever, but at least while I'm alive, I don't sell parts, but I will sell whole cars occasionally if I think someone really wants to build it and not flip it.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds like a dream to me. 300 cars, man. If I had the money and the space, I never would stop buying cars. I told him a story about I used to live in Northern California in the 90s, and me and my buddies, we were car people doing car stuff, and we would, on weekends, we would just get in our, cars, and we would drive up and just through the sticks, nowhere, and, like north of San Francisco, and in California. In those days, you could just drift across basically private junkyards. And we found one, and it was just gorgeous. But, there was a lot of stuff back then that you could get. And if I had the ability and the money, there'd be cars as far as the eye could see. I gotta move the dog in. I'm sitting down and I realized I sometimes grab things and I'm fiddling with them. And I realized looking down that I was holding a holy rock. We don't have a ton of questions.
No.
Oh, welcome to 2024, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's Kat, and what was I going to say?
Welcome to 2024?
No, before...
There's a cat?
No, but...
Because you did say that.
I know I did, and it was before she appeared. I don't remember. I'm sure it will come to me at some point. Okay, so I guess I will start reading.
Why not?
Hang on, I'll be on it. Okay.
For those of you who are amateur ammonitologists like we are, look at the shape. You see the shape? It's that same, it looks like a 6. It's the circle with the U joint on it.
Okay. From No Eurozactor 8756. Hi, I am a vintage watch collector. Been collecting for a while. I live in Bangladesh. Recently, I collected a Bulova Accutron Astronaut, which needs repair. I tried the local watch repair shop, but they failed to restore it. They cannot repair the tuning fork part. Where can I get a repair?
Well, by the way, I replied to you. You sent an email too with pictures of it, and I replied to that. But I'm not going to share those pictures here with you because he hasn't said that he's okay with that. But basically, it's a Bulova Accutron. It's got a 24-hour dial, no date, nothing else like that, and 24 markers around the outside, which is, I believe, a rotating bezel. It literally was called I think they called it the Astronaut. I don't know if they were hoping it was going to go into space or if it did. It's a cool model. They're neat. The Bulova Accutron movement is amazing technology. It's incredibly cool. It produces, when you have a Bulova Accutron, it doesn't use a traditional train at all. What it actually does is it literally has bimetallic tuning fork. Mm-hmm. And they go around coils, and when you put a charge through them, they vibrate at a known rate. And so when they're vibrating, there's this tiny little hair-like little piece of spring with a tiny little jewel held into it, just like this. And every time the arm goes back and forth, it's advancing the wheel one tick, and it's going.
Yeah, I know that noise.
And so they are amazing technology, but they are also fragile, and they're not good when they get, when they live in a very hot, humid environment for a really long time without service to keep the seals up. The watch in question, the movement, you can see that it's got moisture damage and corrosion on the tuning forks, and it's one of those things what normal movements don't deal well with moisture. A tuning fork,
What was the benefit of that technology?
it was tuning fork technology. Accutron, their whole thing was being unbelievably, accurate. They wanted to get Accutron movements like this, deep into NASA. They did, in fact, make the onboard timekeeping on the Apollo and Gemini and stuff. Mm-hmm. Those were made by Accutron, but not the wristwatches. I guess they wanted some kind of, cool gung-ho whatever, and they went with the Omega Moon watch.
Well, I mean, if the tuning fork is so delicate, I wouldn't want to bring it into space because, it's not like they have space watch repairmen.
No, I mean, it's not, I shouldn't say that it's, no, they're kind of delicate. They really are. It's amazing technology. It's amazing technology, but boy, you've got to stay on top of your servicing, and there are no spares. Period. There aren't any. So if you've got a dead movement, you either have to be super lucky finding some old guy who's still got his crap around, and most of them, I'm sorry to say, are no longer with us. Or you got to find a good watch that's got a tuning fork movement in it that you can strip. In your part of the world, Bangladesh and that area, there is a watch company called Titus, and they used rebadged Omega tuning fork movements. They were made under license, and then Omega stopped using that technology. They just moved away from it. And so these are Omega movements rebranded for Titus. And there were a lot of them down there. So you could hunt around for one of those. The thing is, though, is once you get that movement, you have to find somebody that can service the thing. You need a microscope. You need a microscope to make sure these things are right. Because the jewel in that thing is it's like a grain of salt, a small grain of salt. And it has to be at the right angle. And you have to move the spring up and back and forth so that it's intersecting the incredibly fine gearing on that impeller wheel or whatever you want to call it. That drives the whole train. So they can be incredibly accurate. I own a few tuning forks. And we've owned a few running tuning forks. And I would look at them and they were going, and they make me really nervous because I've never really I've only ever fiddled with ones that were already dead. I never wanted to touch the living ones. I have one of those Titus watches. There was a ton of them sent down to that part of the world. Somebody was selling them like the watches were brand new from the 70s. They had never been sold or anything. They were all new old stock, and water had gotten into every single one of them. Moisture had bled into them.
Yikes.
Yeah, it was crazy. And the guy had dozens of them for sale. I have one in the house. The cases are perfect. The dials would also be perfect, but the moisture leached in and destroyed underneath them and ruined the movements. And they weren't even flooded. They just had some moisture inside. The movements don't even look bad. They're dead.
Wow. This dog is driving me crazy.
With love?
Well, it's like if you stop petting him or you have to keep moving. You can't just touch him. You can't just have your hand on him. You have to keep moving. And if you stop, he does what he's doing right now.
Unless you're holding his hand.
Unless you're holding his hand.
Then if you're holding his hand, he wants you to hold his hand. You're only holding your hand, and then he can go to sleep. But you have to hold his hand.
He does get, you can get to a certain limit, though, with butt scratchings with him. Like, because he's always like slowly turning around.
Yeah, he comes up to you with his nose and he says, "Hey, how you doing?" And you're talking his head, and he starts turning his head around, and slowly the whole body turns. And if you're not paying attention, eventually you look down and you say, as you have said many times previously, "I am scratching a dog's butt."
But if you keep scratching and scratching and scratching and don't let him get away, then he's like, "Stop."
Doggy, doggy, doggy. Do we have another question?
Yes.
Oh.
I was petting the dog.
Who's a good dog? I know.
Cole's Crusty Cars.
Oh yeah, yeah. This by the way, this section is all about cars and stuff like that. So if you only want watch information, you should jump past this. In fact, I'll pause it right here so I can put, I don't know, some card or something, or I'll probably forget in any case. Anyway, if you read those comments, go down and read my descriptions. There's a book published many years ago called Junkyard Jewels. It's mostly photographs, but it shows a lot of these old, beautiful junkyards. You know, cars are not stacked. They're all nice side by side.
Sebastian borrows it.
He does love his cars.
4TH Seiko 7005 8052 Port Man 62 MAS. Eugene Thomas 4647. I have one of these as well. My case back says waterproof instead of water resistant like this one. Is that just a difference due to the date of manufacture?
Exactly correct. It was a liability thing. And so Seiko went from proof briefly to resist for like, I don't know, year and a half or so. And then they went to no text about resist or any of that kind of stuff. They changed the sort of the thingies.
The thingies.
The text. But yeah, it was all about legal liability, I believe.
New Seiko Marine Master Prospects 1965 Diver's Watch. The least significant bit 4794. Seiko may consider the rounded edges as a more refined case shape. The shape lines may have been a cost-cutting measure originally, but became part of the charm and the aesthetic after that. This is a home run.
That's perfectly valid opinion, and I'm glad you love your watch. That's cool. My thing is I come at it from the perspective of being vintage focused, so vintage focused. And, everything about these vintage Seikos is about their sharp case lines. It's how you tell if the case is original or if it's been messed with or something. So I'm pretty biased towards that. Plus to me, it's a hallmark of Seiko. I mean, they've been really good about their casework for ever. Like even now, I think their casework is great. This was a conscious choice, and I don't know why they made it. And it was a little surprising to me because the original had razor sharp case lines. So they made a decision. Maybe they thought it would help it look nicer in the long run. I don't wear mine, honestly. I can't. I haven't been able to come up with a solution yet to the crystal. But the bigger problem is the size of the height of the chapter ring. It's really high, and it makes the dial look sort of flat and remote. It looks like the crystal's wrong to me, and because I'm me and I haven't solved the problem, I haven't been looking at it at all. Every time I look at it, literally all I see is the high-walled chapter ring. Every single time I look at it, it's the very first thing I notice. And I'm not saying that it's bad. I'm saying that the problem is here, not necessarily with the watch.
Which JDM speed timer looking for a watch to restore this winter break? D-Cell 993, come for the watch servicing, stay for the Settlers and Aliens references. What were you talking about?
Honey, when aren't we talking about aliens? And the Settlers
and the what?
And LV-426. That's the asteroid that they landed.
I know. I'm always talking about xenomorphs, not necessarily like, the movies so much as just I'm always thinking about xenomorphs in different situations. So, and that's not a lie. I really do.
Interesting. When I'm thinking about xenomorphs, I'm like, canonically, one of the things they do is they will take, because they're so malleable genetically, they will take physical cues, like stature, body type style cues from its host. so that it will have a better chance of basically being able to infiltrate and use the size of things of its prey. That's certainly what I've read. I don't know. I think about them all the time.
And
wait, can you imagine?
What?
Then if an alien got like a capybara, just a capybara just sitting there, and every now and then, if it yawns, it has the jaws come out, and then they go back in, and it's just like, because that's all they do.
I was gonna say that we watched Alien versus Predator, but it was a few years ago because Sadie wanted to see the magicness that was the early 2000s. And while it was terribly acted, I do, and not that great. I think about it a lot though.
The thing that sticks with me about that movie is they have this thing, it's like down in like Inca Mayan pyramids that they talk about in some of it, and they have this like special chamber where sacrificial victims are allowed to be infected. But canonically, the whole timeline, it's supposed to be, there's an ingestion period, an incubation period, and they're like 1, 2, 3, hut. And it's like, the biology doesn't work like that. Even, Alien Covenant sucked.
But I was talking about...
It just occurred to me because I was thinking about David the character, being the evil David, the evil twin.
I was talking about a completely different movie.
Yeah, but it's all in the Alienverse, right?
I think Alien
Wait, which movie are you talking about?
I was talking about Alien versus Predator.
I was talking about that too.
You were talking about Covenant.
It just occurred to me, I was talking about Alien versus Predator and silly things that I'm like, why did they do that? And also about how the xenomorphs can adjust themselves for their hosts. And then I thought about David, and then I just got angry.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
I don't follow my aliens-ness as well as I do Star Trek-ness or Star Wars-ness. What?
So go on talking about Alien versus, Predator. What part of it?
Oh, no, nothing. I just think about it all the time, about the Predators having, like, did they make the aliens, or they found them and they bred them so then they would have the ultimate hunt? I think about that a lot.
I know. I think canonically they became aware of them. I don't think they had anything to do with their creation.
No. But I guess, like, I don't know, that they have them as, like, the ultimate hunt. I think about that a lot.
Incredibly dangerous prey. Mm-hmm. Hey, how come we didn't watch the second Predator one with Danny Glover? That's a good movie.
I've never seen it.
He's just a tired cop who just wants to go home. That's all he wants to do. And now, this blank. I was on a flight with him once. He was very tired. And people were very nice, but people left him alone. It was late. And we got to the airport. It was late. It was super in the middle of the night. I think I was coming back from Texas. And I could tell that he was nervous and hoping that I didn't stop him. There was no one else around. And so I made a point of calling you.
No, it was San Francisco to Denver, I think, or Denver to San Francisco.
I bet it was Denver, San Francisco.
Yeah.
Wow. Anyway, he seemed like a nice fellow.
Ryan Walters. My goodness, buddy. This came out incredible. I wish I could find an NOS or sample case for my 7060, as I'd love to have the original finishing and case lines that crisp.
Yeah, I feel guilty when I'm like, I'm digging through my crap and I found this stuff. But it's true. I collect everything I run across. If it's like in a junk lot or any of this stuff, a lot of these things, and then, I bag them and put them away, but some of this stuff I've had for a really long time, and so when I got it, it wasn't that special, and I didn't think about it that much, and now time has gone by, and here we are. I might have a better case. I don't remember what yours looks like. I don't know. Send me a picture. So, really, that's about it. Like I said, everybody's off doing other stuff, doing holiday stuff. Thinking about things, moving, doing it. I don't know. Did they ever get around to burying James Brown? Or is he still frozen?
I don't know. He talks about this more than you'd think.
Nobody knows about it.
We never look it up.
Ted Williams, the famous baseball player, his head is frozen in that Forever Life facility in Arizona or something. They just did the head. So not only do the doctors in the future have to cure him being frozen solid and dead, they have to figure out what in the hell they're going to do because his body's missing. I wish. But speaking of that, okay, you're a head in a jar, in this case, Beck, but you're speaking as though you're not underwater. They're in a fluid.
Well,
I don't understand it, man. It's just the whole thing's a mystery to me. There was something else I was going to talk about, and I'll be blessed if I remember what it was. Oh well, doesn't matter. Okay. Thank you for watching, and welcome to 2024. Bye.